Hey friends, it's Jessi. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another 3 looks and review video. Today I'm going to be going over the new Nomad Cosmetics Okavango Safari palette. This is brand new from Nomad. They just launched today as I am filming this final look. But if you're interested in seeing my thoughts on this palette and some of the looks I've created with it, then just keep on watching. Hey friends, welcome to the first look using the new Okavango Safari palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Look at this beautiful neutral moment we have. It has been a hot second since Nomad has done neutrals. If I'm remembering correctly, the last neutral palette we had was probably the Haunted Europe palette a couple years ago. I'm very excited about this. Nomad was kind enough to reach out and send this to me to try. So thank you very much, Nomad. You are very appreciated. And as always, you can use code Jessi to save 10% off your order. We're gonna go ahead and do our very first look together today, do some first impressions and see what we feel about the palette. So let's go ahead and dive right in. You may also notice that my background has shifted a little bit. I am currently in the middle of rearranging my entire house and my beauty space is getting a transformation. Monsieur Monstera is no longer behind me. Don't worry, he is alive and well, but joining us now, my new desk friend is Peach, which is my cute little pink princess plant. So for today, I'm thinking I want to jump into these warm neutrals at the top, maybe do a pop of green, because the next look I'm planning on doing will be pretty much just greens. So I'm thinking let's jump into these warm neutrals at the top here. The first shade I want to go into is Towering Giraffes, which is this top left corner. It is just a very light, almost khaki shade. I'm just taking that on a Fenty Beauty blending brush, and we're just going to start buffing that in the crease. I did prep my eyes today with my p.louise base and just a white eyeshadow. I'm gonna go for just a very nice warm smoky eye today. I feel like that's my go-to, is a good smoky eye. So a nice warm crease, and I think I'm gonna do a nice wing as well today. Next, we're gonna go into this mid-tone brown matte. This is called Elusive Leopards. I'm just taking that on the Michaela and Glam Light number 4 brush, and I'm going to pop that in the crease as well. I'm gonna start defining the crease now. Before, I was just diffusing the shades, but now I want to define that eye shape. And for this look, I'm actually just following my natural eye shape, but going above just a little bit. So blowing out my natural eye shape and softening it up with that transition. Next, I really want to try this marbled shimmer. This is called Roaring Lions, and it's kind of like an orangey bronze with brown in it. And I want to see how that looks on the eye. I'm pretty sure it's just going to look like a very nice bronzy copper, but I'm going to take that on a Sigma E54. This is one of my favorite brushes for shimmers, and I'm just going to spritz that a little bit with some MAC Fix Plus. And that is applying a little bit lighter, so I'm gonna take my finger and apply with my finger. Sometimes these shades do better. There we go. That gets more pigment. I do like that a lot. Now that I have the copper on, I'm just gonna go pop back into that mid-tone brown and just clean up the edges to give it a nice, soft, diffused look. Next, we're gonna hop into the dark, warm-toned matte brown. This is Pack of Wild Dogs. I'm taking that on a Morphe 456. And I'm going to start in the outer corner and just kind of diffuse that right in the outer corner. I am going to do some winged eyeliner, and then I'm going to blow out the eyeliner with some eyeshadow. So I'm not adding too much detail to this outer corner yet, as some of it will be covered. I'm going to take a break from the shadow for just a second, and we're going to do a nice big wing using my KVD tattoo liner. Next, I'm going to go into Honking Hippos, which I think is just the cutest name for a shade. I'm just taking that on a BH smudger brush, and I'm just going to smudge that along the edges of my winged eyeliner just to soften up the transition a little bit. Now we just have the lower lash line left to do, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into Elusive Leopards and then Pack of Wild Dogs, and we'll top it off with Honking Hippos just along the lower lash line. And for the inner corner, I'm thinking we might dip into one of the greens. I think that might be fun. I'm not sure which number brush this is, but this is from the Morphe Pro series. I actually really like the Pro series, especially as a Pro MUA myself. I do like the quality and I like them for my clients. Next, we're hopping into Pack of Wild Dogs, and I'm gonna do the same thing, blowing that out on the lower lash line, not taking it all the way into my inner corner, going about halfway, I feel like, It's a good amount. I'm just gonna take a clean blending brush and buff all of those edges and make sure there's no harsh lines. And then I'm gonna take that BH smudger brush we used earlier in Honking Hippos, and I'm just gonna concentrate that on the very outer corners of my lash line. I think I wanna keep with the drama theme. I don't think I'm gonna do lashes. I'm actually getting lash extensions in a couple weeks. So instead, I'm gonna do a dramatic waterline. This is the Urban Decay Robin Eisenberg Snow or Stars eyeliner. This was from their holiday collection this year. I'm just gonna rub that on my lower waterline. For my inner corner, I think I'm gonna go into this matte lime. This is Vambura Plains, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm just going to pop just a touch of that right in my inner corner. I'm gonna use this as a base for my actual inner corner shade, but I want that green to really shine through on this look. So that's why I'm putting the matte down first. And as always, we got that beautiful pigmentation from Nomad. And then right on top of that, we're gonna go into Nile Crocodiles, again with the cute names. I just think this is so funny. Actually, my husband was looking at this palette with me yesterday when I got it in the mail, and he was laughing along with me at some of the names. They're just so dang cute. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this look off camera with lashes and lips, and then we'll meet back to share the final look. This is the first look complete. I am obsessed with how this turned out. I am feeling myself. Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. If you know, you know. I have had a blast playing with this palette. When I saw the color story, I just about screamed. I thought it was so fun. It is so well done. We still have 2 more looks to go. As I said, I will try and fix the lighting situation for the next 2 looks. Thank you again for sticking around. Let's go ahead and move on to the second look. All right, friends, we are back for look number 2 using the new Nomad Okavango Safari palette. This is this beautiful neutral palette inspired by the Okavango Delta in Africa. Yesterday, we played with some of the warm neutrals. Today, I think I want to go in for the cooler neutrals, and then we'll finish off the series with a green look. But I'm really intrigued by some of these deeper shades. I want to do a very sultry, dark eye look today. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I haven't figured out quite exactly what I'm gonna do, but I do know I wanna use all of this bottom row right here. I've already prepped my base and my eyes, so let's go ahead and start with look number 2. So for today's look, I actually think I wanna start darkest to lightest today. I'm thinking I wanna start with Rumbling Elephants, which is this very, very deep forest green. It almost looks kind of like a green toned black, but I'm going to start with that, and I'm just going to take that on an e.l.f. packing shadow brush, and I'm going to be a little bit bold, and we're just going to pop this right on the lid. In the pan, it definitely looks more green toned, but I feel like on the eye it's pulling a little gray. It's a very pretty color. There's nothing wrong with it pulling one way or another, but I'm going to start with this shade, and I'm actually going to use this as a base for a shimmer in just a second. Next, we're gonna go into that deep brown shade we used yesterday, Honking Hippos, and I'm just gonna take that on a Morphe M433, and I'm just going to blend out the edges of that dark shade just to soften up the line, make it a little more diffused. Really wanted to do something more cool toned and dark today to match my romper, so I'm very excited to play with this grungy row. And last, to blend out all the remaining smoke, we're going into Crash of Rhinos, which is this kind of dark khaki shade. It's like a grayish. I'm just using that shade to blend out the edges of all the shadows we've put down already, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna take just a clean blending brush, and I'm just gonna go over those edges one more time to make sure there's no harsh lines and no product where we don't want it. Next, I wanna go into this deep brown shimmer. This is called Mighty Buffaloes, and I'm just taking that on one of the ABH brushes. These used to come in all of the ABH palettes. I don't think they do that anymore. Maybe some of the older ones, but I'm just popping that right on the lid to give it a little bit of a shine. This literally looks like a 90s grunge look. I'm kind of living for it. I'm also not spraying it with setting spray today. I wanted to see how it performs without the setting spray, and honestly, I think it looks really good still. Next, I'm gonna take a MAC 221S. We're just gonna go back into Rumbling Elephants, that dark gray, And I'm just going to smooth out where that shimmer is, so mostly in the outer and inner corners to give almost like a halo eye, and then I'm just gonna sweep it over the top a couple times. Just for funsies, I'm wondering if we should do a pop of green on the lower lash line today, because yesterday we used it as the inner corner. So I think I'm gonna take Chief's Island, which is this nice true green. It has a little bit of a yellow hint to it. I'm just taking that on a Colourpop E21. I'm just gonna start smoking that on my lower lash line. I'm gonna try and keep that very close to my lashes. I don't want a crazy smoked out lower lash line because I did do a very smoked out top. I'm also gonna go into Rumbling Elephants one more time and just use that on the lower lash line in the outer corners, just to add a little bit of depth to the corner of my eyes. I feel like this look needs a green waterline, so I'm gonna go into my Jeffree Star Resting Rich Face Eyeliner. This is just a really nice kind of like military green. The last shade I want to try is Migrating Zebras, which is this marbled white and black shade. So I think it's going to be like a silver gray. Already as I'm mixing it, it's kind of mixing the two tones together, but I'm thinking of trying that as an inner corner. I'm wondering if that's going to fail. Oh, that is beautiful. That is a beautiful silver. I'm going to use that just as my inner corner. I'm glad that worked out. I'm going to hop off camera, do some lashes, lips, and finish off the look, and then I will meet you guys back here for the final thoughts. I just popped on a pair of semi-dramatic lashes, a cool tone lip, really living that 90s fantasy today, that 90s grunge. So far, I'm really liking the diversity in this palette. Yesterday, we had a very nice warm tone look. Today, we did something way cool. And then for our third and final look, we're gonna play around with all these beautiful greens together and see if we can get a true colorful look out of this palette as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the third and final look in today's video. Okay friends, let's go ahead and do our third and final look today using the Okavango Safari palette from Nomad. I'm sure you guys are going to see this again in a couple videos. I did my deck of panning update today, but I just spent all morning on a film set. I am tired, it is hot. I literally came home, walked my dog, and now we are binge filming for the rest of the day, hopefully getting some content out for you guys. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. We've already played with both the warm and cool tone neutral rose. So today I really want to focus on those greens. I think we're going to keep the rest of the face muted and really have the eye be the focus of today's look. To start off, I want to go into this nice lime green matte. This is the shade Vumbura Plains, I think is how you say it. I'm just going to start using this as my base shade for the look today. I'm just building that pigment up to the opacity I like, which is this very pretty chartreuse. I love the opacity I'm getting with this shade, especially. I think it's gorgeous. Next, I'm going to go into this kind of khaki green shade. This is the shade Moremi Game Reserve. I'm just taking that on the Michaela and Glam Light number 2 eye brush, and I'm just taking the tiniest bit. I'm going to concentrate that just on the edges of where that first green shade is, just to soften up that transition and add a little bit more of that warmth to the look. Next, using a Morphe M456, I'm going to go into Chief's Island, which is just this really pretty true green, and I'm going to concentrate that kind of deep into my crease. I don't want it to overpower the chartreuse, but I just want to add a little bit of depth right in the crease. In true Jessi style, I think we're going to go for a little bit of a cut crease. So I'm going to go ahead and take my NYX glitter primer, and we're just going to do maybe like a half cut crease to start, and then we'll go from there and see what the vibe is, what I want to do. I literally never plan these looks out. I just kind of see what I'm feeling that day. Today I'm feeling a half cut crease. I am very curious to see how some of those marbled shimmers apply on top of a glitter base, because I tried one wet, I tried one dry, and now I'm excited to see how it looks with the glitter base underneath. Next, I'm tapping into Nile Crocodiles, which is the marbled shade for the green row, and this is going to be such a pretty color. I'm going to start in the inner part of my eyelid, and oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, pigment, look at that. I was not expecting that. If I'm being completely honest, the marbled shades just are never my favorite formula. I was not expecting this type of payoff. It's good. Let me go ahead and just add a little bit of that glitter glue to my other eye. I didn't even spray that brush or anything. I just tapped into that shade and pat it on the glue. NYX Glitter Primer. Literally the best $10 you will ever spend if you like bright, bold looks. That's gorgeous. Obsessed. Literally obsessed. It's reminding me a lot of the Melt Gemini palette, actually. Using that same brush, I'm going to go into this olive shimmer. This is the shade Keystone Termites. And I'm just going to take that same brush and we're just going to pat that on the lid just to meet Nile Crocodiles. A little bit of dimension within the shades on my eye, and that's very pretty too. I don't like that one nearly as much as Nile Crocodiles, but it's definitely not bad. That looks really nice, actually. Next, I want to take just the tiniest bit of the shade Honking Hippos right in the outer corners of my eye, just to give that depth that I feel like this look needs. So I'm just smoking that very gently across my lash line in the outer half of my eye, and then I'm going to just gently pat that right in that corner. For the lower lash line, I'm going to go into Vumbira Plains and Chief's Island. We're just going to smoke that right on the lower lash line, give it a nice green glow. And lastly, before I finish off this look with lashes and liner, I'm going to hop into Nile Crocodiles one more time, and we're just going to pop that right in the inner corner just to make sure that pops. There aren't a whole lot of inner corner shades that work for my skin tone in this palette, so I'm just kind of trying to make it cohesive. I think this is the eye look almost done, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop off camera, do some lashes and liner, and then we'll meet back for my final thoughts and review of the palette. And this, my friends, is our third and final look today. What do you guys think? I personally really like this one. I'm a little biased. I always love the colorful things, but I think this one might just be my favorite of the whole group. Let me know which one is your favorite. But before we close out the video, I did just want to touch on a couple of things. I wanted to go over some of my thoughts, as well as some comparisons to other existing Nomad palettes. And out of my Nomad collection, I do have the majority of Nomad palettes. I found that they were most similar to these two right here. The first being the America's Parks palette. This one is no longer available, but I did feel like they gave off very similar vibes with those neutrals and those greens. This one has more of those reds and yellows as well, whereas this one is really more of a true neutral palette with some green in it. So I feel like these two could be very good companion palettes to one another. You do have those marbled shades in both palettes, which I think are very fun. It's definitely a fun, creative thing to try out in your makeup. And the second palette it reminded me of is the Hudson Valley palette. This was their fall release for last year, 2022. I don't feel like they're dupes for each other, but I feel like they give off very similar vibes. So if there are certain aspects of the Okavango palette that you like and you have the Hudson Valley palette, I would take a look and see if there's any of the overlapping shades that you're interested in. If not, they're great companion palettes to one another as well. I feel like Nomad is just really good at doing that, where all their color stories, even though they're unique, can be combined very, very easily. Back to the Okavango, I personally really enjoyed this palette. I don't think I have a single palette from Nomad that I don't like, and that's just me being honest. I did receive this in PR for the purpose of reviewing, but I'm not obligated to give a positive review. I can review it however I see fit. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. I think I would have picked this up had I not received it. I think the color story is very fun. I maybe would have waited until it was on sale just because I'm not typically a neutral girly, but I really liked the neutrals in this, and it's making me want to be a neutral girly. I've literally gotten so many compliments on this. I wore this when I went to set for the past couple days, and everyone loved my makeup. I really like the warm tones at the top. It reminds me a lot of the ABH Soft Glam, and that is a palette I'm currently trying to completely pan by the end of the year, and I've already panned a lot of the shades in there, so I'm thinking this might take its place as my new very easy everyday go-to palette. It's just a very nice, fun palette, and it's a great starter to Nomad if you aren't necessarily a huge lover of color but want to try color. Greens, in my opinion, look so good on so many different skin tones, so if you are wanting to try color or dabble a little bit into the colorful world, it's a great option. You have all those very safe neutral shades, the very tried and true warm neutrals, some cool neutrals, and then you have that fun pop of green throughout. Out of the whole thing, I think my least favorite shades would be Roaring Lions and Migrating Zebras, these two marbled shades. Nile Crocodiles we tried today. I think that was phenomenal. It looked so good. And I do feel like if I tried Roaring Lions and Migrating Zebras with the glitter glue, I might like it more. So my opinion on those two shades are subject to change, but overall you're getting that nice consistent matte formula. The shimmers are really pretty. They're very easy to make that punchy metallic if you use glitter glue or setting spray. Lots of ways to play it up. I really enjoyed it as a whole, and I'm definitely planning on keeping it on top of my desk right here and using it throughout summer. That is it for today's video, my friends. Let me know if you're picking this palette up. I would love to know what your thoughts are on all the new releases going on, because there are a ton. And with that, I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye, friends!